Nathaniel Sports Central be giving you guys our SEC tournament predictions for this 2023-24 season. We are headed into Conference Championship Week, and we'll be talking about the SEC tournament here today, predicting it from top to bottom, and giving you guys a quick look as to what you can expect in this year's SEC tournament. So with that, let's get started looking at the first round. We got Arkansas and Vanderbilt in the first round, 12-13 matchup. Razorbacks are 15-16 overall. Vanderbilt 9-22 overall. Arkansas has got 2 more wins in conference, and I feel like there's a decent gap here. Arkansas, both teams have not been very good down the stretch. Arkansas losing 3 of 4, Vanderbilt losing 5 of 7, and we did see these two teams play each other in the regular season, which Vanderbilt won. But I think this is a different story in the tournament. Arkansas finds a way into the second round, knocking off Vanderbilt. Then you got Georgia and Mizzou. Mizzou's been terrible this season, 0-18 in conference. They did not win one game in conference this season. In fact, their last win came in late December. They did not win a game in the past 2 months of action. So at this point, there's just no reason to believe that Missouri could win in the tournament. If they did, that would be pretty insane, considering that would be their one win in conference play this season would come in the tournament. But I'm taking Georgia without a doubt here. Georgia's nothing special, but they're better than Mizzou, that's for sure. So on to the second round. LSU and Mississippi State. LSU, the 8th seed, 9-9 in conference. Miss State, 8-10 in conference. This should be a pretty competitive matchup here. You got two teams that are right around the same level. We did see Mississippi State winning the regular season against LSU, but I think different story in this tournament. LSU proceeds on to the quarterfinals. Jalen Cook and this team find a way. And they've also been better down the stretch, having won 3 of their last 4. Mississippi State just doesn't have much momentum right now, having lost 4 straight heading into the postseason. Then you got Arkansas and South Carolina. South Carolina, what a season for them, being a 25-win team heading into the postseason, 13 wins in conference. They've been really impressive this season, a team with a lot of depth in South Carolina. And Arkansas has really been nothing special this year. I think South Carolina is going to win this game despite struggling in previous SEC tournaments. But, South Carolina, it shouldn't really matter. I feel like this is a team that's very different than past years, and they are very much a dangerous team, I think, in this postseason. Then you got Texas A&M and Ole Miss. This one is literally a coin toss for me. We saw these two teams split the series in the regular season. Ole Miss has been cold down the stretch. They lost 5 of 6. Texas A&M, though, has been actually pretty good. They won 3 straight heading into this postseason. So it's tough for me, though, because I feel like Ole Miss is a better matchup for Texas A&M. But Wade Taylor and the Aggies, I do want to take them to win this matchup and proceed on. They've also, this is also a team that obviously last year made it to the SEC Tournament Championship. So, they've got experience having success in this tournament. I think they find a way on to the quarterfinals. Then you got Georgia and Florida. This is one where, I feel like I want to take Florida in this matchup. Florida's the better team. They won both games against Georgia this season, swept them in the regular season. They're a better team than Georgia, but I do think this is where we potentially see an upset. And I think Georgia, coming off of what I think could be a pretty dominant win against Mizzou, they're going to have some good momentum behind them. And Florida's been okay down this stretch. They're a talented team, swept Georgia in the regular season, but it's really tough to beat a team 3 times in a season. And so I think this is where Georgia finds a way to knock off Florida at least 1 point this season. So moving on to the quarterfinals, and that's another thing too. Honestly, I could go chalk with this tournament really if, it just makes sense to go chalk with this tournament, but that's likely not going to happen. You got to pick some upsets somewhere, and that's a matchup where I think there could be one. But Tennessee LSU, you got the Vols. Dalton Knecht has been incredible this season, 21 points per game. Really tough to go against him in the Vols, and I think Tennessee finds a way on to the semis. Then you got South Carolina and Auburn, 2 teams right around the same level. We saw Auburn beat South Carolina in the regular season, and I think this is where Auburn is going to. Auburn's a very dangerous team in this tournament. There are 4 or 5 teams that could definitely win the SEC tournament. Honestly, I feel like 6. You could probably bump it up to 6 teams. I'd say any of the teams in the quarterfinals outside of LSU and Georgia could probably win it all. And then, so I got Auburn moving on, then Texas A&M and Kentucky. Kentucky's been red hot on offense. If you remember back to, the last month, they've put up over 100 multiple times. Kentucky's going to be a tough team to beat, especially if they're hitting their shots. And I think they do against Texas A&M, despite the Aggies being a pretty dangerous team. We did see Texas A&M beat Kentucky in the regular season. That's something to keep an eye on. But Kentucky winning 5 straight. They're a hot team right now. And honestly, both Texas A&M and Kentucky are hot teams, but I like the Wildcats slightly there. And then you got Bama and Georgia. This is where Georgia's run ends, taking Alabama on to the semifinals despite the Crimson Tide not being as good down the stretch. But you got Mark Sears, who's averaging 21 points a game. He's been incredible this season. So you got your 4 finalists. You got Tennessee and Auburn. Don't connect in Tennessee. I want to pick them here. They've won 7 of 8. They've had a really strong finish to the season, but I also really like Auburn, and I feel like this is a tournament where Auburn could really be that sneaky team, that dark horse that goes on to win it all. And so I do want to take Auburn there to knock off Tennessee, the 1 seed. And despite Tennessee being the 1 and Auburn being the 4, these two teams are extremely close as far as talent is concerned. And then you got Kentucky and Alabama. I want to take Kentucky here. This one's a bit easier. I think that Kentucky's got some really strong momentum heading into the tournament. They're a very dangerous team this postseason. I could see Kentucky really being that team that makes a run in this March Madness tournament. Really like them a lot. So you got Kentucky and Auburn for your SEC championship. And don't forget, Kentucky put up 117 on Bama back in the regular season not too long ago. So I think Kentucky is able to continue that. It's going to be closer than the regular season game was for sure, but I think Kentucky still finds a way. And that sets up your SEC championship, Auburn and Kentucky, 2 teams that are really at the same level. I think it's definitely a toss-up, but I'm going with Kentucky to win the SEC tournament title. Once again, really like the Wildcats' momentum down the stretch, the way they've played. This team has only gotten better this season. You got Antonio Reeves, who's averaging 20 a game. I'm taking Kentucky to win the SEC title. But once again, I feel like this is probably one of the toughest conference tournaments to predict for sure. I feel like you got 6 different teams that could win this thing. I think Kentucky's the most likely, but Auburn is not far behind. And that's obviously with Tennessee in the background, as well as they've been really incredible later on in this season. So with that, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, though, on the SEC tournament. Who do you think is going to win it all? And with that, I appreciate you guys all watching as always. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.